The ship hung in the darkness above Earth like a predator watching its prey. Commander Vex studied the blue planet through the viewing screen with cold satisfaction. His species had conquered thousands of worlds across the galaxy. They had built an empire on the backs of slaves taken from primitive planets. This world would be no different. "Report," he said to his second officer. "The planet has basic technology. Nuclear weapons. Primitive space travel. They have not left their solar system yet." The officer pulled up data on his screen. Population of 8 billion. They fight among themselves constantly. Divided into small territories they call nations. They will be easy to control. Vex allowed himself a thin smile. Divided species were always the easiest to harvest. They wasted their strength fighting each other instead of preparing for real threats. His empire had taken slaves from hundreds of such worlds. "Begin scanning for specimens," he ordered. "Find isolated targets. We take 20 for initial assessment." The ship's sensors swept across the planet below. They searched for life forms that were alone and far from others. The Dominion had learned long ago that quiet abductions cause less trouble than mass raids. Take a few here and there. By the time the primitives realized what was happening, it was too late. The beam locked onto a signal in a mountainous region. A single female, walking alone through snow-covered peaks. Perfect. Hana Park did not see the light coming. One moment she was hiking through the familiar trails of the Korean mountains. The next moment, white light surrounded her body. She felt herself lifted from the ground. Then everything went black. She woke on a cold metal floor. The air smelled wrong, chemical, recycled. Her training kicked in immediately. She did not move. She did not open her eyes fully. She listened. Voices. Strange languages she had never heard. Crying. Whimpering. The sound of heavy footsteps on metal. Hana opened her eyes slowly. She was in a cell with transparent walls. Around her were dozens of other cells. Inside them were creatures she had never seen before. Some looked almost human. Others had scales or extra limbs or skin in colors that did not exist on Earth. All of them looked terrified. A guard walked past her cell. He was tall, with gray skin and 4 arms. He carried a weapon that glowed with blue light. He did not look at her. She was beneath his notice. Hana sat up slowly, playing the role of a confused and frightened captive. But her mind was working fast. She counted the guards. She studied the layout of the room. She noted the doors and the weapons and the patterns of movement. She was not a random hiker. The mountains had been her training ground. Hana was a member of the Republic of Korea Special Warfare Command. She had spent 10 years learning to survive in conditions that would kill ordinary people. She had been trained to resist capture, to gather intelligence, and to escape from any situation. The Dominion scanners had seen a small female with no weapons. They had classified her as a low-value target. They had made a mistake. A door opened and more guards entered. They began pulling prisoners from their cells. Hana watched as a massive creature with green scales was dragged away. He fought back. A guard pressed a device to his neck, and he collapsed, twitching. "This one," a guard said, stopping at Hana's cell. "Bipedal mammal. Oxygen breather. Class 7 weakness rating." The cell door opened. Hana let fear show on her face. She stumbled as they pulled her out. She was smaller than everyone around her. This was good. They would underestimate her. They took her to a processing room. More prisoners stood in lines. Machines scanned their bodies. Workers stamped marks on their skin. It was an assembly line of slavery. Hana memorized everything. Name and planet. A bored worker demanded. "I do not understand," Hana said in Korean. "Where am I? What is happening?" The worker pressed a device to her temple. Pain shot through her skull. When it stopped, she found she could understand the alien language. Name and planet, the worker repeated. Hana, Earth. The worker typed on his screen. Earth, new acquisition. Pre-space flight civilization. He looked at her with something like pity. You will be sent to the mining colonies. Average survival time is 12 standard days. Next. Guards pushed her forward. She joined a group of other prisoners waiting to be transported. Most of them were crying or praying to gods. Hana did not know. She stood quietly among them. A large reptilian creature moved closer to her. His scales were dark red and scarred from many fights. You are calm, he observed. Most new ones scream. Screaming will not help, Hana replied. Nothing will help, the creature said. The Dominion has ruled for 10,000 years. No slave has ever escaped. No rebellion has ever succeeded. We are property now. Accept it. Hana looked at him. What is your name? I am Grok. Once I was a warrior of my people. Now I am nothing. I am Hana. I am a soldier of my people. She paused. We have a saying on my world. Fall 7 times. Stand up 8. Grok laughed bitterly. And what does that mean? It means we do not accept anything. That night, they were loaded onto a transport ship. Hana sat in the corner of the holding area, her eyes closed. The other prisoners thought she was sleeping or praying. She was counting. 17 guards on the ship. 4 checkpoints between the holding area and the control room. 2 armed shuttles in the launch bay. The ship would travel for 6 days before reaching the mining colony. 6 days. That was a lot of time. Hana thought about her home. Her family did not know where she was. Her commanders did not know she had been taken. Earth did not know that aliens existed and were stealing its people. But Hana knew. And Hana was not just going to survive. She was going to make them regret ever coming to her world. The transport ship's engines roared to life. Hana felt the vibration through the metal floor. Around her, prisoners wept for homes they would never see again. Hana did not weep. She planned. Her people had faced invasion before. Japan, China, Mongolia, Western powers. Every empire that had tried to conquer Korea had eventually failed. Her ancestors had fought with farming tools when they had no weapons. They had fought in mountains and cities and frozen rivers. They had never surrendered. The Dominion thought they had captured a victim. They had captured a soldier from a world that had been forging warriors for 5,000 years. And they were about to learn what that meant. The transport ship arrived at Station 12 after 6 days of travel. Hana had used every moment of that time. She had watched the guards. She had learned their routines. She had listened to other prisoners talk about the Dominion and its empire. She had eaten when food was given and slept when she could. A soldier needed strength for what was coming. The station orbited a gray moon far from any sun. It was a processing facility where slaves were sorted and sent to their final destinations. The strong went to fighting pits where aliens bet on their deaths. The weak went to mines where they dug for precious metals until their bodies broke. No one lived long either way. Guards marched the prisoners off the ship and into a massive hall. Thousands of beings from dozens of species stood in lines. The smell of fear hung in the recycled air. Hana took her place among them, keeping her head down and her eyes open. New arrivals from Sector 7, a guard announced. Begin assessment. One by one, prisoners were taken to evaluation stations. Machines measured their bodies. Doctors examined their health. Combat specialists tested their strength and reflexes. Hana watched a muscular creature with 4 arms demonstrate his fighting abilities. He moved fast and hit hard. The evaluators nodded with approval and marked him for the fighting pits. He would bring good money in the arenas. When Hana's turn came, She approached the evaluation station with small, uncertain steps. She let her shoulders slump. She made her breathing quick and shallow like a frightened animal. Species, human, the evaluator read from his screen. Planet, Earth, pre-spaceflight civilization. He looked at her with disinterest. Stand on the platform. Hana stepped onto a metal circle. Lights scanned her body. Height, below average. Weight, below average. Muscle density, below average. The evaluator made notes. Combat potential, negligible. A guard handed Hana a weighted bar. Lift this. Hana took the bar. She knew she could lift it easily. Instead, she struggled. She strained her face and let her arms shake. She dropped the bar after lifting it only halfway. The evaluator snorted. Pathetic. Mark her for the mines. She might last a week. Hana was pushed toward a group of other rejected prisoners. Grok was there. His scarred body had been evaluated as too damaged for the fighting pits. The mines were his destination, too. You failed the test on purpose, Grok said quietly. Hana did not answer. I saw you move on the transport ship, Grok continued. When you thought no one was watching. You move like a predator, not prey. Why do you hide? Hana looked at him. She had a choice to make. Trust was dangerous. But she would need all eyes for what she was planning. The fighting pits are watched closely, she said. The mines are not. Which place offers more opportunity? Grok's eyes widened. For the first time since his capture, something other than despair appeared on his face. You are planning something. I am always planning something. They were taken to a holding area to wait for transport to the mines. Hana used the time to study the other prisoners. Most were broken. Their spirits had died before their bodies would. But some still had fire in their eyes. She noted each one. There was a female with blue skin named Sari. She had been an engineer on her home world before the Dominion came. She understood technology and systems. Valuable. There was an elderly male named Ori. He had been a slave for 40 years. He had survived longer than almost anyone. He knew the Dominion's weaknesses better than its own commanders did. Valuable. There was a young male named Tal. He had been a soldier like Hana. His people had fought the Dominion for 100 years before falling. He still remembered how to fight. Valuable. Hana approached each of them separately over the next 2 days. She spoke carefully. She tested their loyalty. She planted seeds. The Dominion has ruled for 10,000 years, Ori told her when she asked about rebellion. Every uprising has failed. They are too strong. They were too strong for those who tried before, Hana agreed. But those people did not have what I have. And what is that? Hana smiled. Information. On her third night in the holding area, Hana put her plan into motion. She waited until the deepest hour of the sleep cycle. The guards were few and bored. Security was light because the prisoners were already defeated. Hana had watched the guard patterns for 3 days. She knew exactly when the patrol would pass her section. She knew exactly how long she had before the next one came. She dislocated her thumb with a quiet pop of pain. Her hand slipped free from the restraint. She had learned this technique in survival training. It hurt. It worked. She moved through the shadows like water through cracks. Her body stayed low. Her feet made no sound. This was what she had trained for. This was what her people had perfected over centuries of war. The guard never saw her coming. Hana struck his throat first to stop any sound. Then she struck his temple to end his consciousness. She caught his body before it hit the ground. She took his weapon and his keycard. She did not kill him. Not yet. A dead guard would raise an alarm. An unconscious one might be thought sleeping. Hana moved through the station for 3 hours. She found the communication center. She found the armory. She found the shuttle bay. She found the records room where they kept information about all the slaves in the facility. And she found the children's section. Hana stood outside the transparent walls and looked at the young ones inside. Dozens of children from dozens of species. Some were barely old enough to walk. They were being raised as slaves. They had never known freedom. Something changed inside Hana. She had been planning to escape, to return to Earth, to warn her people about the threat from the stars. Now, she had a new mission. She returned to the holding area before dawn. She replaced the restraints. She pretended to wake with the other prisoners when the lights came on. Grok looked at her. He noticed the slight swelling around her wrist. He said nothing. That evening, Hana gathered her chosen allies in the corner of the holding area. She spoke in whispers that only they could hear. "I have mapped the station," she said. "I know where the weapons are. I know where the shuttles are. I know where the guards are weakest." "You want to escape," Tao said. "No." Hana's eyes were hard. "I want to take this station. I want to free every slave here. I want to send a message to my planet." She paused. "And I want to make the Dominion afraid." Ori shook his head. "Impossible. Even if we took the station, the fleet would destroy us from orbit." Hana smiled. It was not a kind smile. "That is exactly what I'm counting on." The others looked at her with confusion and fear and something else. Something that had been dead in them for a long time. Hope. "My people have a history," Hana said. "We have been invaded many times. We have lost many battles. But we have never lost a war. Do you know why?" No one answered. "Because we do not fight to win. We fight until the enemy is too tired to continue. We make victory cost more than it is worth." She looked at each of them. The Dominion thinks slaves are weak. They are about to learn what weak people can do when they stop being afraid. The transport to the mines would leave in 2 days. They had 2 days to prepare. Hana began to teach them. Hana had 48 hours to prepare a rebellion that others had failed to achieve in 10,000 years. She did not waste a single moment. During the day, she watched and learned. She studied how the guards moved and when they changed shifts. She memorized the faces of the coolest ones and the laziest ones. Cool guards were dangerous but predictable. Lazy guards created opportunities. At night, she taught her small group of allies. They met in the corners of the holding area where the cameras could not see clearly. Hana showed them how to move quietly. She taught them where to strike a body to cause pain without sound. She explained how to use their chains as weapons. "Your restraints are not just prisons," she told them. "They are tools. The Dominion gave us weapons and does not even know it." Grok practiced the movements with surprising grace for his size. His warrior training had not been forgotten, only buried. Ta learned quickly too. His military background made him a natural student. Sari the engineer asked questions about the station systems that showed a sharp mind. Old Ori contributed something perhaps more valuable than fighting skills. He had knowledge. "The station's power core is beneath the main floor," Ori explained in hushed tones. "If it is damaged, the backup systems will activate. But there is a 30-second delay. During that time, all electronic locks will fail." Hana filed this information away. 30 seconds of open doors could change everything. "What about the fleet in orbit?" Tal asked. "Even if we take the station, they will bomb us from space." "That is a problem for later," Hana said. "First we must succeed on the ground." But she had already thought about the fleet. She had been thinking about it since she first woke up in this nightmare. The answer had come to her when she found the communication center. The Dominion did not know about Earth's military capabilities. They had scanned the planet and seen primitive technology. They had seen nations fighting each other. They had concluded that humans were weak and divided. They had made the same mistake that every invader of Korea had made throughout history. They had confused division with weakness. They had confused peace with inability to fight. Hana knew what her people could do when threatened. She had trained with soldiers from America, Japan, China, and a dozen other nations. She had seen joint exercises where former enemies worked as one. Humanity fought among itself because there was no greater threat to unite against. The Dominion was about to provide that threat. On the second night, Hana made another journey through the station. This time, she had a specific destination: the records room. She moved like a ghost past sleeping guards and inactive security systems. Her body pressed flat against walls. Her breathing slowed until it was nearly silent. These were skills that her ancestors had used to infiltrate enemy camps during wars that happened centuries before she was born. The records room was locked with an electronic seal. Hana used the keycard she had taken from the unconscious guard. The door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, she found terminals filled with data. Slave manifests, station layouts, fleet positions, communication codes. Ha-Na could not read the alien text wall, but she understood numbers and patterns. She spent an hour copying the most important information onto a small data chip. This chip would be her message to Earth. If Earth received this information, they would know everything: the location of the Dominion fleet, the number of ships, the schedules and patrol routes. They would have the intelligence needed to fight back. But first, Hana had to get the message out. She returned to the holding area before dawn, just as she had the night before. Her body was exhausted, but her mind was sharp. She had not felt this alive since her capture. She had purpose now. The next morning, the guards announced that transport to the mines would begin at midday. Prisoners were divided into groups. Hana made sure her allies were in the same group. A few bribes with stolen food made the guards cooperative. They did not care which slaves went where. All slaves were the same to them. Hana gathered her group one final time. There were 12 of them now. Word had spread quietly. Others had joined. Not many, but enough. The plan is simple, Hana said. We wait until we reach the shuttle bay. When I give the signal, we act. Grok and Tal will handle the guards. Sari will seal the doors behind us. Ori will guide us to the armory. And what will you do? Grok asked. Hana's eyes were cold. I will reach the communication center. I will send a message to my planet. Then I will meet you at the children's section. The children? Sari looked confused. Why? Because we are not just escaping. We are freeing everyone. Hana paused. My people have another saying. Those who save one life save the entire world. I did not understand that until I saw those children in their cages. The group was silent. Some of them had forgotten that there was anything worth fighting for beyond their own survival. Hana was reminding them, what if your planet does not come? Tal asked, what if they cannot reach us in time? Then we die free instead of dying in chains, Hana said. But they will come. I know my people. They do not abandon their own. She did not tell them about the other possibility. The one she was truly counting on. Humans did not just rescue their captured people. They punished those who took them. Hana had studied history. She knew what happened when someone harmed an American citizen abroad. She knew how South Korea responded to threats against its people. She knew that every nation on Earth had one thing in common. They were all slightly insane when it came to protecting their own. The Dominion had taken humans from Earth. They had enslaved them. They had treated them like animals. When Earth found out, they would not send a rescue mission. They would send a war fleet. Hana checked her hidden weapons one final time. A sharpened piece of metal from a broken food tray. A length of wire that could strangle or bind. the keycard hidden in a place the guards would not search. The door to the holding area opened. Guards entered with their weapons ready. Group 7, a guard announced. Prepare for transport to Mining Colony 4. Hana stood with her allies. Her heart was calm. Her mind was clear. She had faced death before in training exercises and in the mountains of her homeland. She was not afraid of it. The guards lined them up and marched them toward the shuttle bay. They walked through corridors that Hana had mapped in her mind. They passed checkpoints that she had counted. They approached the moment that would decide everything. Grok walked beside her. I want you to know something, he said quietly. For the first time since my capture, I feel like a warrior again. Whatever happens, I thank you for that. Hana nodded. Save your thanks. We are not done yet. They entered the shuttle bay. Ships lined the walls. Guards stood at posts around the perimeter. The other prisoners in their group looked defeated and hopeless. Hana took a deep breath. Then she gave the signal. The rebellion had begun. Hana's signal was small, a touch of her finger to her ear. Nothing that would alert the guards. Everything that would start a revolution. Grok moved first. His massive body crashed into the nearest guard before the soldier could raise his weapon. The sound of breaking bones echoed through the shuttle bay. The guard crumpled to the floor without making a sound. Tal was right behind him. The former soldier grabbed a second guard's arm and twisted it until the elbow bent the wrong way. He took the weapon from the screaming guard's hand and ended the screaming with a single shot. Hana was already running. She had mapped this route in her mind 100 times. Through the shuttle bay, down the corridor, past the checkpoint where the lazy guard always watched entertainment instead of cameras, into the communication center. The first guard she encountered did not see her coming. Hana hit him in the throat with the edge of her hand. His windpipe collapsed. He fell trying to breathe through a passage that no longer worked. The second guard saw her and raised his weapon. Hana was faster. She dropped low, swept his legs, and drove her sharpened metal blade into his neck as he fell. His blood was warm on her hands. She did not stop. She could not stop. Every second counted. Behind her, she heard alarms beginning to wail. The station was waking up. Good. Chaos was their ally. Hana reached the communication center. 2 guards stood at the door. They turned at her approach, weapons coming up. She threw her blade at the first one. It buried itself in his eye. She closed the distance to the second guard before he could fire. This fight was harder. The guard was trained. He blocked her first strike and countered with a punch that nearly connected with her jaw. Hana ducked under it and drove her knee into his stomach. As he bent forward, she wrapped her wire around his neck and pulled. He struggled. His hands clawed at the wire, cutting into his flesh. His face turned dark as blood stopped flowing to his brain. Hana held on. She did not look away from his eyes as the life left them. When he was still, she let him drop and entered the communication center. The room was full of screens and controls. Hana did not understand most of them. She did not need to. She only needed one system, the long-range transmitter. Her hands moved quickly over the controls. She had watched the operators use this system during her night missions. She had memorized the sequence. She entered the coordinates for Earth. She connected the data chip to the transmitter. She began the broadcast. This message is for Earth. She spoke into the microphone. Her voice was steady. My name is Hana Park. I am a soldier of the Republic of Korea. I was taken from our planet by an alien empire called the Dominion. I am on a station at these coordinates. She paused to let the data transmit. The chip contained everything. Fleet positions, station layouts, slave manifests, weapon capabilities, everything Earth would need. They think we are weak, Hana continued. They think we are primitive. They have been taking our people and enslaving them." Her jaw tightened. "Show them what weak means. Show them what primitive means. Come and get us. All of us." She ended the transmission and set it to repeat. The message would broadcast continuously until someone destroyed the transmitter. Now came the hard part. Hana ran through corridors filled with chaos. Alarms screamed. Guards rushed past, not seeing the small human female as a threat. They were looking for the large prisoners who had started the fight in the shuttle bay. They were not looking for her. She reached the armory. Sari was already there, her blue fingers moving over the lock controls. The door hissed open. Inside were weapons enough to arm a small army. "Get these to the others," Hana ordered. "Arm everyone who will fight." More prisoners had joined the uprising. Word had spread through the holding areas. Slaves who had given up hope were suddenly fighting back. They did not know the plan. They did not need to. They only needed to know that someone was finally resisting. Hana took a weapon for herself and headed for the children's section. The guards there had heard the alarms. They stood ready, weapons aimed at the door. They had been ordered to protect the valuable young slaves at all costs. Ha-Na did not give them a chance to follow those orders. She came through the door firing. The first guard fell with a hole in his chest. The second tried to use a child as a shield. Hana shot him in the head. The third ran. She shot him in the back. Then she turned to the children. Dozens of young faces stared at her. Fear and confusion and something else. Hope. "Come with me," Hana said. "I am taking you somewhere safe." She did not know if that was true. She did not know if anywhere was safe anymore. But she knew she would die before she let the Dominion keep these children. Grok and Tal found her as she was leading the children toward the shuttle bay. Both warriors were covered in blood. Not all of it was their own. "The station is ours," Grok reported. His voice was filled with wonder. "We control the armory, the shuttle bay, and the communication center. The remaining guards have locked themselves in the security station." "Casualties?" Hana asked. "Many on both sides. But the slaves outnumber the guards 10 to 1. Once we had weapons, it was not a fair fight." Hana nodded. "And the fleet in orbit?" Tal's expression darkened. "They are powering weapons. Our people in the communication center report that the commander has ordered the station to be destroyed. They would rather kill everyone than let slaves escape." Hana had expected this. The Dominion could not allow a successful rebellion. The example would spread. Other slaves would rise up. The empire would crumble. How long? She asked. "Minutes. Maybe less." Hana looked at the children around her. She looked at the freed slaves filling the corridors. Thousands of beings from dozens of worlds, all waiting for her to tell them what to do. "Get everyone to the shuttle bay," she said. "Every ship that can fly launches now. Scatter in all directions. Some will make it, and you?" Grok asked. "I have one more message to send." Hana ran back to the communication center. The screens showed the fleet in orbit. Massive warships with weapons that could turn the station into ash. They were almost in position. She opened a channel. Not to Earth this time. To the fleet commander. "Commander of the Dominion fleet," she said. "This is Hana Park of Earth. You are about to destroy the station. Before you do, I want you to understand something." She saw on the screen that the commander was listening. His gray face filled with rage and confusion. "You came to my planet and took my people. You thought we were weak. You thought we were primitive. You were wrong." Hana smiled. It was the smile of a wolf. "My message has been broadcasting for 20 minutes. My people know where you are. They know what you have done. They are coming." The commander laughed. "Your primitive planet cannot reach us. We are 1,000 light years away. By the time they build ships capable of this journey, the Dominion will rule their world. You scanned our planet, Hana said. You saw our weapons. You saw our divisions. But you did not see what we keep hidden. You did not see the ships we built in secret. You did not see the engines we developed. You did not see what we prepared for the day when something from the stars would threaten us. She was bluffing. She did not know if Earth had secret ships. She did not know if they could reach this place in time, but she knew her people, and she knew that if there was any way to find her, any way to come for her, they would. The commander's laughter faded. Something like doubt crossed his face. Fire the weapons, he ordered. Destroy the station, now. Hana closed her eyes. Down the sensors screamed warnings. Something was coming out of faster-than-light travel. Something big. Hana opened her eyes and looked at the screen. A fleet was emerging from the darkness of space. Ships of a design the Dominion had never seen. Ships bearing the flags of nations from a small blue planet called Earth. They had come. Hana's voice was quiet when she spoke again to the commander. I told you, we do not abandon our own. Commander Vex stared at the screens in disbelief. His confident smile had frozen on his face. His hands gripped the arms of his command chair, so hard that the metal bent under his fingers. The ships coming out of faster-than-light travel were not supposed to exist. Earth was a primitive world. They had not developed interstellar capability. All the scans had confirmed this. All the intelligence had agreed. The scans had been wrong. How many ships? Vex demanded. His tactical officer's voice shook. 47 confirmed. More are still arriving. A pause. 52 now. 58. They keep coming. The human fleet spread across space like a wave of steel and fire. Each ship was different. Some bore the stars and stripes of America. Others carried the flags of Korea, China, Japan, Russia, Britain, France, India, and nations Vex did not recognize. They should have been enemies. They should have been fighting each other. Instead, they moved as one. They are broadcasting, the communication officer reported. On all frequencies. Let me hear it. A human voice filled the bridge. Calm, cold, deadly. Dominion Fleet, this is Admiral James Mitchell of the United Earth Defense Force. You have taken our people. You have enslaved our citizens. You have 20 seconds to surrender your ships and release all prisoners. A pause. This is your only warning. Vex found his voice. Impossible. Scan their weapons. They cannot match our firepower. This is a bluff. The tactical officer ran the scans. His face went pale. Commander, their weapons are... I do not understand. The energy readings are beyond anything in our database. What do you mean? I mean, their smallest ship has more firepower than our flagship. Vex felt his empire crumbling around him. 10,000 years of dominion. 10,000 years of conquest. And it was ending because he had taken slaves from a planet he thought was weak. Open fire, he ordered. All ships. Destroy them. The Dominion fleet launched everything it had. Missiles and energy beams and torpedoes streaked across space toward the human ships. The humans did not run. They did not dodge. They did not even seem concerned. Their defense systems activated. Shields that the Dominion had never seen before absorbed the attacks like water absorbing pebbles. Not a single human ship was damaged. Then the humans returned fire. Hana watched from the station's observation deck. Freed slaves gathered around her, their eyes fixed on the battle in the sky. They had never seen anything like this. No one had ever seen anything like this. The Dominion ships died like insects in flame. Human weapons, cut through Dominion shields as if they did not exist. Explosions bloomed in the darkness. Warships that had conquered worlds broke apart and burned. How? Sari whispered. How is this possible? The Dominion has the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Hana thought about her home. She thought about the wars her people had fought, the divisions, the conflicts, the endless competition between nations. My people have been fighting each other for thousands of years, she said. We built weapons to kill each other. Better weapons, stronger weapons. Weapons that could end our entire world 100 times over. She paused. When the message reached Earth, they stopped pointing those weapons at each other. They pointed them at you. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it was over, the Dominion fleet was gone. Debris floated where warships had once stood. 1,000 years of military power turned to scrap metal in less time than it took to boil water. Shuttles launched from the human ships. They headed for the station. Hana made her way to the docking bay. Grok and Tal followed her. The children she had rescued clung to each other, watching with wide eyes. The first shuttle landed. The door opened. Human soldiers stepped out, weapons ready, eyes scanning for threats. Then one of them saw Hana. Sergeant Park? The soldier's voice cracked. Hana Park. Hana straightened her spine. She was covered in blood and dirt. Her body was bruised and exhausted. But she was still a soldier. Reporting for duty, she said. The soldier ran to her. He was crying. Other soldiers followed, surrounding her, touching her shoulders and arms as if to confirm she was real. We got your message, the soldier said. The whole world heard it. Every nation, every government. We came as fast as we could build the ships. How long? Hana asked. How long have I been gone? The soldier hesitated. 3 months. We built the fleet in 3 months. Every country on Earth worked together. Factories ran day and night. We used technology we had kept secret for decades. 3 months. It had felt like a lifetime. More shuttles landed. More soldiers emerged. They began helping the freed slaves. They carried the children to safety. They provided medical care to the wounded. Admiral Mitchell arrived on the last shuttle. He was an older man with gray hair and hard eyes. He approached Hana and saluted. Sergeant Park, on behalf of the United Earth Defense Force, I want to thank you. Your intelligence allowed us to find this place. Your bravery saved thousands of lives. Hana returned the salute. The others helped. Grok, Tal, Sari, Ori, and hundreds of slaves who chose to fight. Mitchell nodded. They will be honored as well. All of them. He paused. There is something else you should know. We intercepted Dominion communications during the battle. Their empire is in chaos. Word of this defeat is spreading. Slave populations across a dozen worlds are rising up. Good, Hana said. We have also made contact with other species. Ones who have been fighting the Dominion for centuries. They want to meet us. They want to form an alliance. Mitchell smiled grimly. The galaxy is about to change. Hana looked around the docking bay. Freed slaves of 100 species stood together. Human soldiers worked beside them. Children laughed for the first time in their lives. Grok stood nearby, his scarred face wet with tears he did not try to hide. Sergeant Park, Mitchell said. Earth wants you to know something. When we received your message, when we heard what had been done to you, there was no debate, no politics, no hesitation. Every nation agreed within hours. We would come for you. All of us. He met her eyes. You were never alone. Hana thought about her ancestors, the warriors who had fought against impossible odds, the civilians who had resisted occupation, the ordinary people who had refused to give up. She had always known what her people were capable of. She had just needed the galaxy to see it too. Sir, she said, what happens now? Mitchell looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Dominion was learning fear for the first time in 10,000 years. Somewhere out there, slaves were hearing rumors of a species called humans who had come from a small blue planet and broken the chains of an empire. Now, Mitchell said, we showed the galaxy what we showed the Dominion today. His voice was quiet but hard as steel. We show them that humanity does not forgive. We do not forget. And we never, ever stop fighting for our own. The freed slaves began to board the human ships. They would be taken to safety. They would be given new homes. They would be treated as friends and allies, not as property. Hana was the last to leave the station. She stood in the airlock and looked back at the place where she had been brought as a victim, where she had been called weak, where she had been marked for death. She had arrived as a slave. She left as something else entirely. Grok appeared beside her. Hana, I must ask, did you know? When you started this rebellion, did you know your people would come? Hana thought about the question. She remembered the moment she had sent the message. She remembered the fear and the hope and the uncertainty. No, she admitted. I did not know. But I believed. She looked at him. My people have a saying. Hope is not the belief that everything will be okay. Hope is the belief that things are worth fighting for, even when they might not be okay. Grok nodded slowly. You are a strange species. Yes, Hana agreed. We are. She stepped through the airlock and onto the human ship. Behind her, the station grew smaller. Around her, the galaxy stretched endless and full of dangers and wonders. The Dominion had selected her as a victim. They had not known that her world slays the weak. They had not understood what humans really were. Now they knew. Now everyone would know. Hana sat in the shuttle as it carried her toward home. She closed her eyes and allowed herself, for the first time since her capture, to rest. She had done what she had trained to do. She had survived. She had fought. She had won. And this was only the beginning.